Okay, hi, this is my first YouTube video. I'm not in it, obviously. I can't be bothered with all that. Make sure you tie your weave up, get that out of the way. That's in my hat. We're good to go. We're going to be making a Asian style salmon today with noodles with a broth. It's really easy to make, quite simple. Bear with me because this is my first video, so I'm not really sure how to do this, but I'm going to try and make it as easy as I can for you. We start off with a few basic ingredients for our sauce for the salmon, and that's a lemon, one lemon, cut in half. We've got some ginger here, probably about a thumb size, probably about this much ginger. Garlic, I use 2 cloves of garlic. It's up to you, you can use 2, 3, depends on your taste. I like a lot of garlic in my food. I might add another clove. I get big cloves. There's an easy way to squash garlic cloves. I don't know if you know, obviously you just push it with your hand to break the whole clove. You can squash the clove like this as well, and it just makes it easier to peel. Just ignore my nails, they need to be done. It makes it easier to peel and cut. Basically the skin just comes off easy. See? So yeah, that's that. Chop that all up, and then we've got half of the chilli here. I didn't de-seed it, I left the seeds in. It's up to you. If you don't like it hot, you can take the seeds out. That way you don't get as much spice in the sauce for the salmon. So this is half a chilli here with seeds on. So this all goes into a blender now with the lime juice, and we're going to add some soy sauce to this. I like to use this sauce. I get it from the Chinese supermarket. It's the best one ever. Okay, right now I'm going to talk you through the ingredients for the broth. For the broth with the noodles, you're going to need some chopped ginger, some garlic, chilli, spring onion, chopped up, as you can see. This is your basic base for the broth. So to the pot that you're going to actually put your broth in to add the noodles, you're going to add the ginger and the garlic. You want to cook this a little bit. Obviously you don't want to burn it, so keep your eye on it, medium heat, with some olive oil in the pot, which I'll show you next. Okay, now in here we've got spring onion, the chilli, the ginger and the garlic, and 2 teaspoons of cornflour. Now it's going to look a little dry, but you just mix that around, and we're going to add some stock to it that we made up. Right, so to the chilli, garlic and the ginger, I've also added some Chinese coriander that I get from the Chinese supermarket. You can use any coriander, it doesn't really matter, but obviously for flavour, for authentic flavours, you go to the Asian supermarket and get the proper stuff. But the normal coriander in your supermarket is fine. Coriander to that, and then we need to add a bit of Chinese five spice. And I've added a red onion as well. Sorry, I forgot to tell you that. See, that's why I'm no good at this. But I've added a red onion to that, and I'm gonna add a bit of Chinese five spice. Like I said, I go by eye. So, but don't go crazy with seasonings, because obviously all these seasonings have a lot of salt in them, and obviously if you're trying to watch your weight, you don't want to eat a lot of salt. So I'm gonna put a bit of Chinese five spice in there, a bit more, and then we're gonna blend this up till we get a paste. So see you on the other side. We're going to season both sides as well. Okay, we're going to use coarse black pepper. Any will do. I'm going to take the lid off just to make it easier and faster. I'll sprinkle some on my hands. We'll rub it all in after. Just put it all on the board. Doesn't really matter if it's messy. Then we're going to add some Chinese five spice. You can get that from anywhere. Chinese five spice. You need this for all your Asian style foods. I'm just going to sprinkle that at a height. Like that. Then we're going to add any olive oil will do. Good olive oil. Whatever's on offer in your local supermarket. We're going to just splash a little bit on the height. Drizzle a little bit over the skin. Then we're just going to basically rub this all in now to season it. So you want to make sure you get it into the creases, basically rub it all in, turn it around, you know, get the seasoning on that side as well. Okay, so you're just going to season the salmon. Right, so we turn over, do the same thing. Obviously, just a little bit of black pepper, a little bit more 5 spice, and sea salt. Don't go mad with the salt because there's a lot of salt in seasonings. Remember that. Do not forget there's a lot of salt in seasonings. People forget and they over season their food. There's no need. Rub all that in. Okay. So that's our salmon, seasoned and ready for our pot. So I'll be back in a minute. Right, okay, so we've got our salmon in an oven-proof dish. Any oven-proof dish you've got, it doesn't have to be glass. You don't want to give the salmon too much space in the pot because you kind of want to poach it. You want to poach it basically, so the less space the better. So just make sure it tightly fits, or you've got a little bit of room, doesn't really matter. That's fine. You want the skin to be crispy, so make sure the skin is obviously facing upwards. Then you get your sauce that we made earlier, and then we just basically tip that all over the salmon, kind of rub that around. You don't want to waste some of the sauce, so put a bit of water in here, just a tiny little splash, and then you can put it over there. Kind of, it's very messy, so right, and rub the salmon in. Covered. Okay. It doesn't look like much now, but trust me, it tastes amazing. Okay, now for the broth. Basically, I use for my broth. I use this. It's a chicken stock, which Asian Chinese people use obviously in their broths and stuff like that. So it's a more authentic taste. If you can't get that, then you can use another basic stock. If you haven't made your own, obviously, you can use this. These are really good as well. You can get them in vegetable too if you don't want to use chicken. But I would suggest using this because it's a more authentic taste. So this is what you make your stock with to add to the chilies, the spring onion and the garlic and ginger. So you add this to that mix, and then we're gonna add in some sugar snap peas to that mix now to cook down for a little while before we add the noodles. Okay, so in our pot, our sugar snap peas and our broth with all the ingredients that I showed you earlier are boiling away. You add some noodles to this, but I wouldn't suggest adding your noodles until you're ready to serve. Because I'm going to show you the noodles we're going to use. You don't want it to be soggy, you want them to be al dente, so you don't add the noodle at all until last. But this is basically our broth. Okay, so the noodles we're going to add to the broth are, I would suggest going to a Chinese supermarket to get the best noodles because they have the best ones. Don't use Sharwood's or those crappy noodles. These are basically vegetarian noodles, no egg, no animal fat. They take 2 minutes literally, so just before you're ready to serve your salmon, your broth, your salmon, you put the noodles in literally just in the water. They don't need to cook, so you take the broth off the stove once it's finished cooking. You can take that off soon actually, and then just add these in and they just cook in the heat basically, so you're not actually cooking them, so they'll be really nice and lovely in the broth. In our local Chinese supermarket we're doing 2 of these for £2.50. There's 2 you can see things in there, and I'll put both in to serve 4. I might use around half, depending on how much noodles you want. I might use 2.5, or maybe just 2 to serve 4. If there's a little bit extra noodles, then I'd add 2.5 and a half of them. So yeah, one of those, yeah. So these are really good if you can get them. If not, get any fine noodles. Okay, so our broth's cooking down. I've added the noodles now. You just get a nice bowl to serve your noodles, your broth and your salmon in. Chopsticks if you can use them. If not, you can use a fork, but it's nice with chopsticks. I'm gonna now show you the noodles that I just added to the water. So literally, you're not cooking the noodles, you're just putting them in the water. So you keep your broth warm at a low heat, still hot, and then to add your noodles and they cook in the water basically, so you don't need to boil them because otherwise they'll go soggy. But I'll show you the noodles with their broth now. Okay, so I've kept the lid on to retain the heat so they can cook the noodles in the broth. I'm going to show you my noodles now. Don't know how good this camera is, to be honest, but basically the noodles are ready. They've been there a couple minutes. The heat is turned off and the noodles are done. Okay, so I've took our salmon out the oven. I had mine in for about, I'd say probably about half an hour if I'm honest with you, at about 200, just under 200s on my oven. I've got a fan oven. That's how I've got my crispy skin, so I'm going to show you now. So we take the lid off. Baby! I'm going to now rotate the camera so you can see. Lovely crispy skin. It looks amazing. Oh my god. That's exactly how it should be. Nice crispy skins with your juice there. The paste you can kind of put on top of your noodles as well, like on top of your broth. It gives it an extra kick. Gonna have a look at the salmon. So we get a fork and we'll just peel back the skin. You can see it's perfect. Crispy on the outside and soft in the middle. Yummy. Before I go, one tip I will give you is I like to add a little bit of my favourite hot sauce at the end. Just before I serve, I just like to drizzle a little bit on top, on mine anyway. It's got a really nice flavour and it's really nice. Sriracha hot sauce. And one other tip I will give you is, please, when you're cooking, I don't ever follow recipes step by step. Like, I kind of add my own thing to it. So one tip I will give you that will help you is taste your food when you're cooking it, because you know how you like your food. Only you know how you like your food. So when you're making your broth and you're adding things like soy sauce and Chinese spice and bean paste, whatever you're adding to your food, taste it as you go along. Taste it. Then you'll see what you need more of. If you need more of that, if you want a bit more spice, you add more of that. If you want like a bit more saltiness to it, you add a bit more of that. Get to know your flavours. Know your flavours, you can't go wrong. You can work out how to cook anything. Once you know the flavours, you can work out how to cook anything. Okay, now to serve, I've got my ladle, bowl, some chopsticks, my little board. I'm gonna now spoon some of the broth into the bowl. Some noodles. I used 2 packets of noodles in my broth to serve 4. It was more than enough. I've got actually too much noodles actually, but the kids like noodles, so it doesn't really matter. Let's get some of the sugar snap peas in there. Okay, that's our broth done. Now we're going to add some of a piece of the salmon. I use my same ladle, it's not a problem. Get a nice piece of salmon out. Place that on top of your broth. You should have like some kind of like pasty bits from your dressing that you made. Just put a little nice little blob on top of your salmon. It's kind of like a little paste basically. A little bit of the and voila. Basically, there's your salmon. I don't know if you can, oh, it's kind of hard to see it, but there's your salmon and your noodle broth. You can serve it with a salad if you want. I do make a nice mango Asian style salad, but I didn't make that today. But yeah, basically, here's your Asian style broth. Yummy. It looks really good and it tastes so nice and it's so easy to make. I hope you all enjoy it.